It's Street Talk with Loretta Rose, and today we're on location in Phoenix City, Alabama. We are at the new public safety building, and we're going to take you inside because we're going to get a tour. We're going to catch up with Police Chief Ray Smith. And also, you don't want to miss it. You got to stay tuned because at the end of today's show, there's going to be an unveiling, and you don't want to miss it. So stick around. It's Street Talk with Loretta Rose. We're going to go inside so you can see the new public safety building. We want to say congratulations to Phoenix City. Congratulations, Mayor Eddie Lowe, Police Chief Ray Smith, and City Manager Wallace Hunter, and the entire City Council. It's Street Talk with Loretta Rose. You're watching here on Beam TV. And now we're inside of council chambers here in Phoenix City at the new Phoenix City Public Safety Building. We have caught up with Phoenix City Police Chief, Mr. Ray Smith. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And I'm going to start off by saying congratulations.
I appreciate it. It's been a long, hard work to get it done.
Wow. We are super proud of Phoenix City. This is the new Public Safety Building, and it has really expanded.
Yes, ma'am. It's really a lot of space that we were able to utilize. It's kind of an interesting story. You know, the public safety building has the police department, the fire administration, and the municipal court. Those three city departments are housed in this facility. And of course, City Council holds their meetings here, and that's where we're at now. We're in the City Council chambers, and this is the City Council's chairs. Later on, when we go through the tour, we'll see the courtroom where the municipal court is held, and some of the offices and some of the other workings of the building. But one of the interesting things about this construction is that if most people that remember the building remember that this wall right here behind the council seating area, that was the front of the old building in 1964 that was built in 1964. And what we did is we built out into the front yard of that building, so back to a zero lot line on Broad Street. But in 1912, I think it is, and we'll look on the picture and see the date, but in 1912, the old police department, the old city hall, and the fire department used to be maintained right here on this same property, but in this council chambers. And so they built the building behind us and tore those buildings down. It became a front yard, and now here we are.
Wow.
So many years later, 50 years later, now we have built back out into the zero lot line again and reclaimed that same property that was used for the old police department. And so you've got it all kind of expanded.
Wow.
And those of you who have been to the old council chambers before this was built, where that wall is and that sign is, behind that wall is a conference room that we'll see, and that conference room is about the size of the old council chambers.
Oh, wow.
And because it's much larger. The only thing that's addition to that old council chambers is we built 2 new bathrooms right here, those 2 new public bathrooms for the public to use. So those bathrooms in that council office space is really what used to be the council chamber. So it's not just doubled, it's probably about 7 times or 8 times bigger, because that section would not have fit in the old council chambers, but we've got 3 of those sections now.
Amazing, and it is amazing. How long this construction has taken?
We planned I had the original drawings done in 2019. So it's been a 2.5-year long project. Thayer Bray was the contractor, and Barnes Nobles, or Gibson Barnes, was the architect. They both did an excellent job for the city. They worked tirelessly to make sure that they get this done. It was scheduled to be completed in September of 22, but everybody knows building a building through COVID.
Absolutely.
We literally built this building through COVID. We had some major administration change. We lost our deputy chief to COVID during that time frame. We couldn't get light fixtures, doors. And this building, of course, is built to, modern standards. We have, bulletproof doors in specific areas and bulletproof glass, fire-rated doors. We even have a fire curtain that I'll point out to you that'll come down in the event of a fire that kind of separates the building to allow people to get out of the building safely. There's new, I guess they call them areas of refuge alarm systems, that if you're at a door and the door is locked and you can't get out, you can mash that button, you know, call directly to dispatch and the fire department to let them know that you need to be rescued in those specific areas. So it's a very safe building, built to code. It's got good access, both, you know, public access as well as secure access for the council to use and the judge and the court personnel.
Wow.
So it's very interesting.
We're so proud of Phoenix City. And when will the first meeting take place here?
Our first meeting will take place after the July 1st. The first council meeting will be in this building on July, what is the date? 3rd? July 3rd, the day before the 4th. So that'll be the first. We'll have a work session that afternoon and a council meeting that day.
Amazing.
In this building. And then from that point on, not just the council meets here, but you also have planning commission that will meet here. The Board of Zoning and Appeals meets here, and several others. So this will be a well-used facility for those meetings.
So your city council meetings will take place here starting in July. Now, we want to thank you for your service. It has been over 30 years you have been committed and dedicated to the city of Phoenix City. Am I correct?
I've seen a lot of changes in 30 years, yes ma'am, 33 years.
Yes. How many years as police chief?
13. I was named police chief in 2009, and so I've been police chief since then. And like even from 2009 to today, we've seen some very monumental changes. We've got much better technology, much better equipment and so forth, and even the officers are better trained and more efficient than they've ever been in the history of Phoenix City. We could put our police department up against any, and the fire department is no different. The fire department is currently going under a fire department training center that's being built. We'll be looking forward to doing that story whenever it gets done.
Awesome. I love it.
They're going to have a burn tower, and we'll be able to do a lot of things here locally that we used to have to travel to go do.
Well, that's what I love about coming to Phoenix City, and also it's hometown for me. And we want to thank Police Chief Ray Smith. He's going to give us a tour so the community can see what's happening here. You're watching here on Beam TV.
So, certainly as a city, we lean on our local providers, cable TV. And not only if you don't have cable, you can still see it on the internet. It's on YouTube and several other social media channels. So we want to make sure that it's very transparent. And because of that partnership between us and the cable company, we're able to do that. So we've got them, if you want to spin around and look, there's a table back there that's specific for the cable TV. These other two tables will be for the other media that want to participate, Channel 9, 3, whoever has a need to come in and do those reporting. So those are all set up specifically for the media that they can come in, hopefully make our building our meetings transparent. You'll see TV screens both upwards and on the front. We'll be able to have our agendas broadcast there, as well as might even be able to bring a video feed in, and we can simulcast. If this building has a meeting that's too big, we can actually have an overflow into the courtroom, and we have TVs similar to that, we'll see later, that you can broadcast from here over to there. So you can still be here in person in the building, even if you can't fit in this room, but hopefully that will be very rare.
Amazing.
So as we come around, there's a few more pieces of furniture. There'll be another lectern here that will be facing the crowd. A little behind the scenes look at what it looks like for the council. This is where the council's view, where they'll be sitting.
Nice.
Of course, you have the city clerk will be on this side. She'll run the computer and the TVs from that computer. The mayor and council will sit here, and of course the city manager on that end. And the first two rows where you have the tables, those will be where the department heads sit that will be making the reports to council, and then of course the public beyond. And if you can see, there's handicapped accessible seating in the front for that.
What a nice view too. The seats are very comfortable.
Yep, it's a good auditorium. So the room that we're in now, this is the conference room that the council will use to have executive sessions and get ready for the council meeting to go out. And as you go out, of course, this is the door that goes right back out into the council. And if you kind of imagine, this wall is a new wall. Again, where the old building was is just right outside on that piece of wood there. So from that wall to this wall, and from this wall, and if you can imagine another maybe 15 feet that way where the new bathrooms are at, this was the council chambers.
Wow.
This is how small it looks now that we've kind of built it into a conference room, but we've gone from this size conference, or council chambers, to now it's just a conference room, and we've expanded to that big. So it's a big, huge leap for us to go from this small space that was cramped and crowded to a much better area that we can have much better transparency, much better communication. Certainly we wanted to make sure that people that want to come to council have an, have an opportunity to go. And I think that's part of the reason why our attendance had been very low, is because it was just so cramped in here, particularly when you had special events, recognizing people and so forth. They wanted to make sure that their moms and dads can come and see that, that expansion.
So where have the meetings been held?
Since this building has been under construction, we've been holding our meetings at the Idle Hour Community Center.
Okay.
And it's become a city hall of sorts for the last 2 years while we've gone through this construction. So that will be back open for, of course they've been using it for other events too, weddings and so forth. It's a beautiful facility in its own right, but it's certainly not the city hall.
Wow. Well, Phenix City, I know the citizens are very proud of this growth. This is growth here in Phenix City.
Yes, ma'am, and this is certainly something that we feel like that this will probably be a 15 to 20 year investment, that we think that this will be able to get the use out of this building. And if we can get 15 years at it, that's the goal, but we think probably 25.
Praise God.
So that for that $5 million investment, that's basically what we're looking at. We were able to remodel this building and build onto the front with the hard work of Thayer Bray and the architect Paul Gibson and his team, be able to through a pandemic, get this built at a pretty reasonable rate. We probably had to spend $12 to $14 million. I know that other cities that I of course deal with, Oxford, and if you know about Alexander City, Opelika, but a lot of those recently just went through a construction project of their own. Auburn as well. So we kind of looked at them, and some of them did remodels, some of them did new buildings, and the new buildings are much more expensive because then you have to do everything brand new. Again, this room already existed. We just took the seating out and remodeled it into a conference room.
Amazing. I love it. I love it.
So whenever court is in session, and we have court 2, sometimes 3 days a week, depending on the court load, people can come into the front lobby. The parking is still kind of tight, but the city owns a parking lot across where the old Alagasco building is, and so we encourage people that they can park there as well.
That's good to know.
We've got a crosswalk that people can get across the street safely. We've cut the bushes down and made it a little bit safer. And we're going to do some other traffic calming things out there to try to keep that down low, because we want this to be more of a walk, pedestrian friendly neighborhood, all the way from 13th Street all the way down to Dillingham, as we continue to grow the downtown area. So, but anyway, you come in and you can either go up the stairs or up the ramp, and then you come back around. The other stairs are mainly for emergency exit access and so forth. So anyway, we'll go through. You go through a metal detector security. Of course, this is the security desk officer that will be sitting here during court. So yes, this is the front yard, just like the council chambers is built on the front yard of the old building. This wall right here is actually the wall of the old building where they took off the facade. Now it's a wall there. And of course you have the judge's bench with the bar. And this is the court area that people come to go to court. As you notice, we have the TVs here on the top and on the top. And again, this is part of that is for, again, during court, sometimes you need to have some displays and so forth for the court people that are in court. But again, this doubles as an overflow for the council chamber. So if we ever need to use this as overflow, we can simulcast what's going on in the council chambers right next door
6
into this room.
monitors, television screens. Amazing.
And so then, not to get too much into court, because nobody really likes to go to court.
Nobody likes to go to court.
If you are a witness in court, then you'll be coming in. Generally, the witnesses sit over here, and when they're called, their case is called, the witnesses will testify. Of course, if you've gotten a speeding ticket or some other charge and you had to...
So this is where they come.
This is where they would come, and so they would have their court cases heard here.
Wow.
This is the bar. Like any courtroom, you have the bar that the attorneys will hear, and they'll plead their case in front of the judge. The other are the court personnel on the bench as well. You have a security officer, usually a captain with the department, and he monitors both courtroom behavior as well as the officer's performance. Then you have the clerk, a magistrate, and a couple of other secretaries that help move the process along to make sure that there's the cases are heard.
I am impressed.
If you are found guilty and you have to pay a fine, then we'll walk you through the area to go pay the fine. If you
Wow.
are found not guilty, you get to go straight out the doors and back home.
Wow.
And hopefully
Reserved.
Yeah, and these reserved, this is usually for the inmates they may bring up from the jail. This is for the officers that are testifying that will be sitting on
I
this side.
see. And then I see reserved for police.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, certainly this court handles some pretty serious cases, and again, public safety being what it is, you know, we have to make a case or make an arrest. Well, those arrests are then here brought to the judge to determine if that arrest is valid, if they in fact did break the law, and they make that determination. And if you did, and you have to pay a fine, if you have the funds to pay your fine, then we escort you around to this area. And in the old courtroom, which interestingly enough was other side of this wall on the top floor. As a matter of fact, if you can imagine, there's a second floor. Up there is where the old courtroom was, and it was small as well. And of course, that now has been converted to office space, and we've moved the courtroom down to here. There used to be a door right here that was just a phone room. And that phone room is you'd go in there and you'd call somebody, hey, I've been found guilty. I need you know, $400 to pay my fine. Can you bring me $400 to pay my fine so I can go home?
Wow.
And so this is where the phone room used to be. But now when you go through this door, it is a small holding area.
Oh, wow.
And this small holding area is when people come in and they still have the phone room. For example, this is a phone room and somebody's in there now, but there's another phone room here that's being used for storage. But these two rooms is where you can come in and call your family member and say, look, I got found guilty, I need to pay my fine. And so they can bring the money and then pay it. But if you've got the money already, and a lot of people do, they come to court prepared to pay their fines, then they come here and they pay the court their fines. And
This
the
is
court
so
work area.
nice and spacious.
And of course, they can sit here and wait if they have to have money be brought in. And again, this is just a small, secure area, so they don't have to walk back through the courtroom to come back around to pay the fine. They can come through this little
Amazing.
crawl space. And this was all designed, again, just to make the workflow, you know, a little bit better. And of course, the rest of this area is just office space where the magistrate, the judge has an office on this floor, and then there's some conference tables and conference rooms and so forth.
Well, you know, Police Chief Ray Smith, you said something when we were in the courtroom, and I would love for you to share it with the citizens about court, how symbolic it is.
Well,
it was very informative, and you said it off camera. I would love for you to share it with the citizens.
Well, a court is one of those institutions that's been set up by the law, and we set this court up, and we all give deference to the court because we want the court to settle disputes and to determine if somebody has broke the law. And we create laws to try to help everybody be safe. Certainly, you know, some people say, well, the law takes away my right. Well, it does, but it also protects other people's rights. Speeding is a great example. We set a law that says don't drive any faster than this speed. Well, yes, that means you can't drive as fast as you want, but it also means it makes the street safer for others so that if you get into a crash, it's usually a lot less speed involved. Hopefully nobody gets hurt. So it's a balancing act. Anytime that there's an issue that we have to make a case, you know, that's not just the police or the court saying that you've, you know, done wrong. The court is the one that's the arbiter of that dispute to decide, did the officer make the case appropriately? Did you in fact break the law? And if you didn't, you're found not guilty and you go on your way. If you did, then they find you responsible. Then they have to have some kind of punitive response. And that punitive response typically in municipal court is a fine. It's a small fine, and hopefully it says, okay, I don't like paying, you know, $200 for a speeding ticket, so I'm gonna quit doing that. And again, that's red light tickets are the same way. All the way up to the more serious offenses like reckless driving and drunk driving. And certainly drunk driving, and it's not your right to go drive drunk because it's going to hurt somebody.
Absolutely.
But to go back to the symbolism part of that, you know, if we as a society didn't give deference to the court and accept them as the arbiter of that adjudication, then our society would fall apart. Nobody could be held accountable because, you know, certainly we give them, the court, that authority to make those decisions on our behalf. And if we did have respect for the court, it would just fall apart. The whole society would fall apart. And so I'm thankful that in our society that, you know, you might have conflict with the police or you may have conflict with the city government, but when it goes to court, hopefully that's the arbiter that decides what is right. Not who is right, but what is right. And, you know, what everybody needs to live within to make sure that everybody's rights are protected. And so that's why I love the symbolism of court as an institution. because again, it doesn't mean that the police have the final say. You know, it's the court that has the final say.
Wow, he said it best. And I really wish every state will have, or every city, every community will have someone in law enforcement to share with them the knowledge that you have shared, because it makes so much more sense. The respect is needed, but sometimes people don't understand the process of everything, and
it can be an arduous process, because you know, you might get a ticket on one day and it's 2 months later before you're going to come to court. And so you know, you think, oh, I got to make this appointment, I got to take time off of work, and all those are punitive actions. And even if you're found not guilty, you know, you've had to go through this process of going to court, and you're found not guilty, and that, you know, still might make you cranky, but hopefully you think that, well, at least they're trying to do the right thing, or they were fair about my case. They were fair that they took it before a judge, and the judge decided that it wasn't a crime, or that I wasn't speeding, or whatever it may have been.
Right. Well, I just wanted to share it with the community as well, because courts makes me nervous.
You know, and they should. And court should make you nervous, because again, you know, when you go into court, you should be nervous. You should have that reference, that deference to the court, because they're the ones that's going to make the decision of whether you're being held accountable or not.
Okay, so you made me feel better.
Right. If you go in there and you know you don't care and all that. Typically,
nervous.
Especially if you get found guilty, it's typically not going to go well for you. You know, you want to make sure you have that deference, because the judge will hold you in contempt if you're not. So you don't want to take cell phones in the court, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Anytime there's a new building project that the city undertakes, we want to recognize the ones that, number one, funded it, because this is not a cheap project and something that everybody in the community has paid for. And so those representatives that are elected to make those decisions about how that money is going to be spent, we always want to recognize them. Even on fire trucks, when we, you know, build a brand new fire trucks, you know, low end $500,000, high end, you know, sometimes $1.2 million. You need to put somebody's name on it that authorized that kind of money spent.
That's good.
So this what this plaque is, and if you go next door to the City Hall, you'll notice there's a similar one on that one, and the municipal building is, I think it was in 1973 that building was built, and it's got a plaque similar to that, and it's got another
unveiling.
It's got the current mayor. Lift this up.
Oh, nice.
It was approved by council, and this says in 2021, but of course the plans were started in 19, but it was approved by council in 21, and this is the council that was in office that approved that. And of course you have city manager Wallace Hunter, who's responsible for this, and of course city clerk that keeps all the records. And again, Barnes Gibson Partners, those were the architects, and Thayer Bray Construction, a local company here that helped us complete it, and we completed it, of course, in 2023. So
Did you hear that? He say local.
Yeah, and Barnes is local too. They're in Columbus, but Thayer Bray is right down here on Brickyard Road, and they did a really good job struggling through the pandemic to get this project done.
So proud of Phoenix City. I'm so proud to call it my home.
So that'll be unveiled on the 30th as well.
Awesome. Congratulations. You all have really, really served the citizens, and we're seeing it. And the citizens are very proud as well. I am so proud of Phoenix City. This is amazing. Amazing.
It's a beautiful building, and it's something that'll be, you know, this is a 24/7 operation. That's why what you see here is in the lobby. There's actually a phone right here in the lobby.
Wow.
So if you come in at 2 o'clock in the morning, you pick up that phone, it'll ring to dispatch, which is in this building, and they'll get you help to this location. So even though the courtroom and the council may be locked, this lobby is 24 hours a day open.
Okay, so dispatch still here in this building? Yep,
still in this building, yep, and they just pick up the phone and be able to call.
Amazing. Wow. Okay, we're with Police Chief, and he's giving us a tour, and this part right here is going to bless the community.
You know, this is a tough part because, you know, certainly, again, like I told you, we started this building in 2019, and during that time, you know, Chief Green, she was the operations commander for the department. So, you know, to say that she was involved in the planning and the design of this building is to be, you know, a little bit dismissive, because she was, in fact, the foreman for this project until she got sick, and we lost her in June 24, 2020. So this is a special plaque. Me and the city manager discussed how to best honor her. And so what we did is we're going to dedicate this building to her come the 30th, and it'll be dedicated in her memory. And this will hopefully stay here for the life of the building. And certainly everybody that comes into this building will see this picture and know that she was a part of making this building what it is today, and the sacrifice that she did working through COVID that ultimately took her life.
Exactly. And this lady, Gail Green, Assistant Chief Gail Green, was the epitome of servant leader here in this community. Amazing. What an awesome way to pay tribute and honor.
And she was a 33-year veteran at the time of her passing too. So she actually came to work in the city of Phenix City in 1985, and I was hired in 1989. And for the first few years, she worked in other divisions. But in I think it was 1993 or 1994, I was transferred to the juvenile division where then Sergeant Green was. And so Sergeant Green at the time and Sergeant Smith, we were dare officers and partners for 7 or 8 years during that time. And then even after that, Gail and I developed such a close relationship that we became
she loved you
partners throughout the rest of our career. And so she was a 33-year veteran at the time of her passing, and she would do anything for me, and she took care of me, and she was probably, well, not probably, she was my biggest mentor. She told me what was right and what wasn't right and how to handle situations. Certainly, and I missed that direction, and certainly a lot of the decisions I make today, I think back, what would Gail do, or what would she tell me to do, or help me make those decisions, particularly the more difficult ones, you know, personnel decisions and so forth. She had that wealth of knowledge that you just don't get except for being blessed with the talents that she had.
Wow. Phenix City, you got it right. So, I want to give a shout out to City Manager Wallace Hunter. Wallace Hunter, thank you so much for your leadership as well. Mayor Eddie Lowe, thank you all so much. This right here just really just blew my mind away, because we miss her in the community and we love her.
And of course, there's a special story behind this picture. This picture is one of Gail's best pictures she ever took. We've had all kinds of professional photography over the years and so forth, but this was after a promotional ceremony one time, and I think it was in probably 17 or 18 that this picture was taken, but our office manager took this picture with a cell phone. And it has turned out to be the best picture that we've used on just about anything that we use for Gail. That we love that picture.
Well done.
But it was just, happened that, Angela Harrison, the office manager, said, hey, let's just take a picture by the flag. And this picture was actually taken at the Idle Hour Community Center after a promotional ceremony. So that's where that picture came from. It wasn't professionally made. It's just somebody, it's a cell phone, and it's so important to, and the story behind that picture is always just makes me smile too.
And it's just an authentic moment that was captured as well, because she really never liked to be in the spotlight.
Sure.
Wow, what a way to end today's show. What a way to end this on location highlight. Thank you, Phenix City, for allowing us to come into your new public safety building to share with the community. It was amazing to see the growth and your hard work and dedication. And I would be remiss if I did not share accolades to the entire City Council, Police Chief, Mayor Eddie Lowe, City Manager Wallace Hunter. Thank you all so much for paying tribute to an amazing servant leader that we all love and dearly miss, Miss Gail Green. What a way to end today's show. I hope you've enjoyed this Street Talk with Loretta Rose on location. You've been watching here on Beam TV. Congratulations, Phenix City.